Welcome to Huff Goes to the Movies. Happy Black History Month. My name is Eric Huffman II. Most people call me Huff. Some people know that I love going to the movies. But on occasion, I enjoy sitting down on the couch, browsing through my streaming services, and finding a movie that I can enjoy from the comfort of home. Which is fitting for this review. You People is directed by Kenya Barris from a screenplay that he co-wrote with Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill actually stars in the film as Ezra, a 30-something Jewish man from Los Angeles who is single and has no romantic prospects. After a case of mistaken identity, which is pure coincidence, he ends up meeting Lauren London's character, Amira, and the two begin to date and fall in love. When the relationship starts to get serious, they begin to introduce each other to one another's families, and at that point, things get a little chaotic. Amira's dad is played by the legend himself, Eddie Murphy. Her mother is played by Nia Long. Jonah Hill's parents are played by David Duchovny and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And as you could imagine, all sorts of off-color remarks start being said, and the families who could not be any more different culturally do find themselves both pretty evenly matched in terms of just pure chaos. Now, there's been a lot said about this film. A lot of people roll their eyes at the very thought of Kenya Barris writing or directing something, especially when it comes to the topic that is at all related to race. And yes, because this film is an interracial romantic comedy, some of Kenya Barris's tropes are on display here. But I do want to say that while I haven't watched enough of Kenya Barris's work to provide an overly harsh critique of his approach or anything like that, I will just try to examine this film for what it is. Because I think that Kenya Barris's accomplishments are, well, I don't want to say undeniable, but the man is too accomplished for me to take one review and lay to waste his entire filmography. So I will just focus on what works or doesn't work in this film. And right off the bat, the collection of talent in front of the camera here is remarkable. As I said earlier, Eddie Murphy, Nia Long, David Duchovny, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I think that it's the parents who actually provide some of the best bits of comedy in the film. And even when what they're given doesn't necessarily work, I think that Eddie Murphy and Julia Louis-Dreyfus in particular really commit to those roles, and it works to very good effect. Nia Long and David Duchovny are both really good here as well. I think David Duchovny especially has one of the bigger laughs in the movie when he starts singing a song from John Legend. And I think that Nia Long complements Eddie Murphy's character really well here. He is saying the things that you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe he just did that. And Nia Long sort of plays off of that very well. But this film doesn't really work because of its supporting characters. This film would have to work because of its leads. And I hate to say it, but I think that Jonah Hill and Lauren London are the weakest parts here. I just didn't find that they had any real chemistry here. And I think that Kenya Barris's direction doesn't do them any favors. Lauren London is not great here. But I think that what she is given doesn't really help. It feels almost as if the direction to her was to play Nunu from ATL, which worked for her in ATL back in 2006. But all these years later, a woman who is grown as hell, it just doesn't quite work. Amira doesn't really come across as anything more than a cute face here. And Jonah Hill, here we go. I really like Jonah Hill. I think he's hilarious. I think that he's proven that he can perform in both comedy and dramatic roles, but I feel like he's completely miscast here. His character doesn't really have much to offer other than looking like someone who's a fan of hip-hop. His character in the film actually hosts a podcast on the culture with his friend, played by Sam J. And while I could understand that this is the type of role that Jonah Hill would probably really thrive in as a supporting role in another film, for him to be front and center for so much of this really dampens a lot of the bite that their comedy should provide. And also, I just don't think Jonah Hill is a good fit here. I don't know if it was so much him trying to go against Kenya Barris's writing or him taking what Kenya Barris originally wrote and writing things in for himself, but at times his performance comes across like a mix of improv and aimlessness. And this really goes back to Kenya Barris's direction. There are so many times in this film where it feels like we should be given more to invest in as the audience, but the film doesn't really give us that. When it comes to the chemistry or lack thereof between Jonah Hill and Lauren London, not only do we not really get a real understanding of why their characters would fall for each other, we don't even see the signs that their characters are actually starting to like each other. We don't really get that many scenes of any sort of overt physical intimacy. We don't really see how they relate to things outside of the surface level things that they're interested in. And so as they go through the different obstacles of meeting each other's family, it's hard to care because it hardly ever feels like they should be a couple to begin with. But I think some of the biggest sins come in the form of Jonah Hill's pairing with Sam Jay. And listen, I have never seen Sam Jay's stand-up specials. I don't know enough about her to want to provide a blanket criticism for her. But I really think she does not work in this film. It feels like so much of what she is given is just make it up as you go. And I suppose that she might actually be a funny enough person to just make things up on the fly, but paired against Jonah Hill, who already doesn't work in this film, it leaves so much of what they try to offer as jokes falling flat. And it just makes the movie a real chore to try to get through. And when you start pairing the leads with the much better supporting cast, it makes them stick out even more like a sore thumb because so much of what they're given just doesn't work. It feels so flat. It feels so tired. It feels like we've been here before. And yes, lots of broad comedies work in part because they're going with a formula that we're used to. And all you have to do is provide some people who are charming, provide some people who are funny, and they can make it work. But here, I think the mix of bad writing, bad casting, and really scattershot, aimless directing just really doesn't do this film any favors. Kenya Barris even has these weird stylistic choices as scenes transition from one to another, and at one point I thought, oh, this is just how we're going to get the title cards. Oh no, this is a thing they're going to commit to for the film. Its entire runtime. Man, talk about grading. I just think that perhaps what Kenya Barris was trying to do here probably sounded really good in the pitch, but as far as the execution of the entire film, unfortunately, a lot of this just falls flat. And while I can't recommend enough seeing some of these bits with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, David Duchovny, and Eddie Murphy, I just think that their talents are going wasted in a film that doesn't entirely know what to do with them. There are even moments that feel like the pacing is off. And I don't just mean that to say that there are segments of the film that are boring. It just feels like there are several points in this film where the scenes we're getting are not moving the story forward. And while technical filmmaking and great writing do not always make a comedy win, sometimes if you can just get the laugh, that's all you need. The fact that the laughs are also not coming makes these issues stick out that much more. So You People has a lot of talent on display, and I don't doubt that they probably had a wonderful time making it. And again, Kenya Barris's accomplishments speak for themselves. I do not want people to walk away from this review thinking that this one movie means that you should never support him or anything that he does. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that for all the things that he tried here, it just came up really short. And so I found myself wildly disappointed with You People. I'm so glad that they got Eddie Murphy and Julia Louis-Dreyfus on board with this, though. I love how they committed to their roles, but the overall film, the overall product, just left me very much unsatisfied. And so for all these reasons, I would have to give You People a rating of 2 out of 5 stars. But that's just me. All film is subjective, so join me down in the comments. Let me know, what'd you guys think of You People? what have been some of your favorite performances from Eddie Murphy and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and what have been some of your favorite things that Kenya Barris has been involved in? Because I do think that he is far too accomplished for us to just write him off for one film that we may not like, or one show that we may not like, or one spinoff to that show that we may not like. Either way, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. If you like what I'm doing here, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And as always, if you have not already, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. That way you can stay up to date on everything that I've got going on here at the channel. Thank you so much. Once again, my name is Eric Huffman II. Most people call me Huff. Stay sweaty, my friends. I will see you at the movies or on Netflix. Peace.